All right, let's get right into it. You know that promise we all make to ourselves? Okay, I'm just going to use my phone a little less, or I'll cut back on the junk food. I'm not going to quit cold turkey. We tell ourselves we're being realistic, right? That slow change is still change, but it never really works, does it? The deadlines just kind of slip away, and those habits, they don't budge. So today we're going to tear that whole idea apart. We're going to look at why that sensible strategy is actually built to fail, and what science tells us is the only real way out. So let's just start with that big burning question. Why doesn't cutting back ever seem to work? You have the best intentions, you really truly mean it this time, and yet you end up right back where you started, just spinning your wheels. What is actually going on here? Okay, so our first stop on this journey is understanding something called the moderation trap. And it sounds so reasonable, doesn't it? So grown up. I'm just gonna moderate. It feels like this really smart, balanced strategy. But what's actually happening inside your brain is that you're walking straight into a trap that's brilliantly disguised as a good idea.
And this right here, this is the exact story we tell ourselves. It's that voice in your head going, be patient, be measured. Junk food is fine. Just on the weekends, I'll smoke 10 cigarettes today, not 20. And we even pat ourselves on the back for not going to extremes. But here's the crazy part. That very reasonable sounding plan is the exact mechanism that's locking the habit in place, probably tighter than it's ever been.
So let's get one thing crystal clear, because this is probably the most important part. If you've struggled with this, it has nothing, and I mean nothing, to do with you being weak or lacking willpower. This is not a character flaw. It's a mechanical problem. There's a specific, predictable process happening in your brain. And the great thing about a machine is, once you understand how it actually works, you can fix it. So let's pull back the curtain and actually look at the science here. And to do that, we got to talk about a guy named B.F. Skinner. He was a pioneer in figuring out how our brains build these little automatic pilot programs. He called them conditioned circuits, and they basically take over without us even having to think about it. The whole concept is called operant conditioning, and honestly, it is brutally simple. It really just works like this. You do something. Say you scroll on your phone or you grab a cookie. Your brain gets a tiny little reward, a bit of relief from boredom, a rush of sugar, and the brain's response is just, oh, nice, let's definitely do that again. You repeat that cycle enough times, and bam, it's no longer a conscious choice, it's just an automatic circuit firing off on its own. And this all runs on a simple 3-step loop. So, step 1, you get a trigger. That little pang of stress, maybe a moment of boredom. Step 2, the behavior. Your hand automatically reaches for your phone before you even register the thought. And then step 3, the reward, that little hit of distraction or relief. That loop, running on repeat thousands and thousands of times, is what carves a superhighway in your brain that completely bypasses your conscious, decision-making self. Now, this is where it gets really, really interesting, because it turns out how you get that reward is what makes a habit either easy to break or almost impossible. And this brings us right to the heart of why moderation is such a dangerous trap. And the secret? Well, I like to call it the slot machine secret.
Just think about it for a second. Why is a slot machine so addictive? It's precisely because you don't win every time. That unpredictable reward, that feeling of maybe this time, that is scientifically proven to create way more persistent compulsive behavior than a reward that you get every single time. That uncertainty is the engine of compulsion. It doesn't matter if you're pulling a lever in a casino or refreshing your social media feed. It's the same engine.
And here it is. This is the big aha moment. When you decide to cut back, from a pack of cigarettes to half a pack, from hours of scrolling to just 30 minutes, you think you're weakening the habit. It feels like progress. But what you're actually doing is turning yourself into the slot machine. You've taken a consistent, reliable reward and made it intermittent and unpredictable. And neurologically, that makes the habit stronger and infinitely harder to quit. So, okay, if cutting back just makes things worse, what's the alternative? Well, the answer is the complete removal of the reward. But I have to give you a fair warning. This is going to trigger a phase that feels like total abject failure right when you're actually on the verge of success. It's a known phenomenon, and it's called the extinction burst.
I want you to look at this timeline because this is basically your map for what to expect. See, when you cut off the reward completely, your brain doesn't just quietly accept it. It panics, it screams. During that first week, the cravings are going to spike to an intensity you've probably never experienced before. That's the extinction burst. It's your brain's last-ditch effort screaming, hey, the reward has to be coming soon. But if you can just ride out that peak, as you can see, the urgency starts to fade.
And this right here is the most important mindset shift you can possibly make. That intense discomfort, that feeling you have in the first week, it is not a sign that you're failing. It is the exact opposite. It is hard, biological proof that the old circuit is dying and it is fighting for its life. That awful feeling, that is the feeling of progress. Okay, so knowing about the extinction burst, that's the theory. But how do you actually get through it? Well, this is where we have to stop talking about willpower, which is pretty much a myth, and start talking about the only strategy that actually consistently works: designing your environment.
So what's the difference? Well, willpower is about fighting the battle at 10 p.m. when you're tired, you're stressed, you're alone, and the craving is at its absolute peak. It's a losing game. Environment design, on the other hand, is about making one single decision right now while you're feeling clear-headed to remove the trigger from your world entirely so that the 10 p.m. battle never even has a chance to happen. And let me be really clear here. The goal isn't just to make the habit inconvenient. It's to make it impossible. Delete the apps. Throw the junk food in the trash. I mean, literally get it out of the house. Sell the console. If the cigarettes and the lighter aren't physically in your house, the craving has no power. You make one hard decision now so your environment can make thousands of easy decisions for you later. All right, let's talk about the final piece of the puzzle. So you've survived the burst. The old brain circuit has finally gone quiet. But now there's this void, this empty space in your day where that old habit used to live. What do you do with that? This part requires some real deep honesty. You have to ask yourself, what was that habit actually for? You probably weren't scrolling because you were so fascinated by the content. You were trying to escape boredom or anxiety. You weren't smoking for the taste. You were giving yourself permission to take a 5-minute break. You have to get really specific and name the real need that habit was meeting. Because here's the fundamental truth. The brain hates a vacuum. If you just rip out the old behavior and you don't consciously choose a replacement, your brain's going to find something else to fill that void, and it probably won't be something healthy. The key is to find a new way to get that same core reward you're after all along, whether that's connection or relief or just a simple break. So what's the big takeaway from all of this? Real change isn't a slow, gradual negotiation with yourself. It's a decision. It's the moment you stop saying, I'll start on Monday, or I'm just trying to cut back. It's a clean break. The junk food is in your house right now. The app is on your phone right now. The